when I look at founders who are coming with professional experience into the startup space, um, I generally observe them in two modes. So obviously, as a founder, you have some experience, and then you have a very very junior team, maybe entry level, maybe 0 to 2 years of experience.
Correct.
Right. So one thing which I hear from founder is, one, they are frustrated because they have come from a structured environment and now everything, and they have a very, there is no middle layer as such.
Correct.
And second, they have a fantasy that I will raise some capital and I will bring in executives, VP of X, VP of Y, and those people are going to come in and then fix everything.
Nahi chalega, boss. Whatever your question, nahi chalega.
So, how should founders approach this? Getting used to working with very, very junior resources and being patient.
Boss, दो बातें हैं. First of all, I would say, if this is the attitude you're coming with, don't come. Because when you are creating a company, it is your company. You can't bank on VPs and senior VPs. You are the VP. You are the senior VP. You are also the biggest sales guy. ठीक है ना? So again, I go back to my perfect attitude. Willing to do everything. Right? E. You have to be willing to do everything. Dirty your hands, soil your hands, and in the process, you train up your junior guys. So, for example, Sanjeev Bikhchandani, Naukri, which I keep talking about, when they launched Naukri, they tried to do some internet-based marketing and also some offline marketing. It didn't work at all. They realized that this was a new concept, online job search. So they said, हमको personally जाके client को मिलके convince करना होगा.
Yeah.
अब उस time में the amount they charge for an ad was 350 रुपए. 350, that's all. But Sanjeev and Hitesh, two co-founders, they said, boss, हमको करना है. So they would go personally, but they would take a junior guy along. And the junior guy, if you're selling a 350 rupee ad, you don't have to be an MBA from IIM Bangalore or Ahmedabad. You can be a simple graduate, sometimes not even a simple graduate, right? So they used to take a lot of these junior people along with them, and that is how the learning got passed on. So A, do it yourself, and B, in the process, you train up the other guys. And, once this happens, if you have the right guys with you, the right guys grow. And over time, they are the ones who become your middle layer or your senior layer. Because ultimately, if you're a big company, you can't do everything. But when you're starting a startup, when you're creating a startup, you can't say, boss, मेरे को VP चाहिए. अगर VP चाहिए तो जाओ यार नौकरी करो. VP खुद बनो.
Correct. And this is also like whenever we receive applications for our accelerator, a lot of time founders will tell us that I need director of X to kick this off. For example, there was this founder who I met a couple of weeks ago. He's trying to organize cricket pitches in tier 2 towns, bringing them onto a platform where you can go and book, and also give them SaaS solutions to the people who own these academies. Because a lot of these academies are not profit making. Because either they took some franchisee which they paid a lot of cash upfront and they're not able to recover that.
Okay.
And he told me that I need director of coaching to sort of start this. So I was like,
hey, boss, you are the director of coaching. I'll give you a simple example from my own life. Right? Many years ago, I actually started a company called, a division of NIT called NIS. National Institute of Sales. उसमें हम sales training करते थे, and one of the things we did was sales training for corporates, for companies. So you have your sales team, and I had started that division. I was heading it, so I was the CEO. We realized, and I also realized, that sales training cannot be done in a vacuum. You need to understand how the salesman was selling today. You need to understand how clients are behaving, how they are reacting. You need to understand the product. So what I used to do personally is, sales guy, one of the client's sales guys is going on his beat to meet various clients. I would say यार मैं तुम्हारे स्कूटर पे, स्कूटर ही होते थे उनके पास,
Yes.
तुम्हारे स्कूटर पे पिलियन राइडर बनूंगा, and I will come with you personally to meet every client that you're meeting on that one day, right? जब तक मैं वो ना करूं, I don't understand how the hell these guys sell, right? So I think whatever you do, you have to be willing to do everything, because that's the only way you learn and that's the only way you can pass it on to the other guys. मैं एक और कहानी सुनाता हूँ, very simple story, and this is not from a startup. It's from a huge multinational. Again, I don't want to name them, but huge multinational. And it's an FMCG company, right?
Okay.
So they had a branch manager and one young guy from one of the top IIMs, I think IIM A or Bangalore, joined them and reported to the branch manager. The branch manager said, ऐसा है, तू ऐसे कर, यहाँ पे store है, there are a bunch of posters and there is take a bucket of glue and you go around in your territory और ये posters लगा. So that MBA said, sir, ये मेरा काम नहीं है यार, I'm an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad or whatever. अच्छा ठीक है, चल रहने दे. Then he gave him some other assignment. You go to various kirana shops and get feedback from me. हाँ sir, वो मैं कर लूँगा. ठीक है. So this young trainee, management trainee, went. Every time he went to a kirana shop, he saw somebody some distance away behind him, bucket in hand, putting up posters. Went to the next kirana shop, again he saw the same guy. He was surprised, ये कौन है? He went closer, branch manager. Okay. Sorry sir, I'm sorry sir, my mistake, मेरे को bucket दो. What is the learning? Was very simple. आपको, you can waste all your posters. You can put them all up in the same place, in which case you haven't covered enough territory. Or you can put them so far apart that nobody notices them. Or you put them in places where somebody else is going to put his poster on top of it. Right? Now, these are things you need to learn, because when you send your office boy to put up posters, तुम उसको कैसे सिखाओगे? So you have to do it. So I think, the one message every founder needs to have, and frankly, fortunately, most founders, I would say, do have this, the right attitude. Okay, look, I have to be willing to do everything. Yes, when I become big, I need, support people, but ultimately, हर चीज मुझे करनी है, मुझे सीखनी है. There's no choice.
And I realized this in my life. So when I was in consulting, a lot of time I would delegate a lot of tasks to my junior, and at one time I had a large team, and then I realized that I was not actually helping them. Because a lot of tasks, the pipeline was just getting crowded. And I needed to sit down with them and have those conversations and work on some of the problems myself. So that was learning for me.
Yes, absolutely. Once founder banna, to you have to get your hands dirty. Simple. There's no choice.
And you have this interesting concept, and where you mention about families and sports team, right? The culture of the team, family versus sports team. So what do you think should be the mix? Obviously, all of us have sharp elbows when we are working in teams, and we like to push each other. But also there has to be, like I said, because in the beginning you have very junior team, and you are probably the only senior person around, and the most senior person around. So how do you balance that? How do you bring that empathy as well as some sort of push for extracting performance from your team?
Was my view here, and this is based on all the success stories I have seen personally, is if you build the right culture, this happens. Okay? And the culture has to be, it has to flow from the top. So it's a team. I may have made a brilliant sale as a founder. I may have done something wonderful as a founder, but no, it's a team which has done it. Team gets the credit. Now, when you start doing things like this, these things flow down, and the team says, boss, we are working together. Okay. Then you can bring in things like incentive policies, which can be team oriented rather than individual oriented. Because then everybody helps each other. कि यार अगर वो ठीक नहीं करेगा तो मेरा इंसेंटिव भी कम हो जाएगा. So I think this whole business of building a culture, and I think most of these guys that I've spoken about in the Ernicons book have been able to build this kind of culture where the team comes first. Frankly, there will always be some people who stand out. There will always be some people who say, "Nahi yaar, main hu." But I think by and large, as long as you can make sure this culture is there, most people typically will be very happy to work for the team. It's like our cricket team. Very simple example. Two batsmen are taking a run, and if one of them has to get out, the junior guy or the guy who's less well set will sacrifice his wicket for the other guy. That's team. That's the kind of culture you need to build.
Yeah.